Hey everybody, welcome back to the display show. Hey, on today's show, I'm going to answer one of the most common questions that we receive. What's the difference between our Elements tension fabric display system and our Helium tension fabric display system? Well, there's some pretty significant differences, and that's what we'll talk about on today's show. Okay, like I said, a very common question we get is what is the difference between our Elements and our Helium displays? Now, both of these displays are what we call pillowcase tension fabric display systems. So to put that simply, they basically both have aluminum tubing that snaps together, and it has a graphic, two-sided graphic that you pull over it and zip it up. Now, when I say two-sided, I don't necessarily mean printed on both sides. It can be. That's an additional charge, but I just mean it has fabric on both sides and you can pull it over and zip it up on the frames. Now that's where the Elements and the Helium are the same. Let's talk about what makes them different. I've got both units here in the space with me. This is our Helium 10-foot horizontal curve, and this is our Elements 10-foot horizontal curve. Okay? So let's start with the differences. First, in terms of pricing, the Helium is less expensive than the Elements, usually by anywhere up to about $200 difference in pricing. The other thing that's different about the Helium system is we only have a limited number of sizes. So we have an 8-foot curve, a 10-foot curve, 8-foot flat, 10-foot flat, and a 6-foot tabletop flat. The other difference is the aluminum tubing that's used for the Helium is lighter weight, lighter grade aluminum than the Elements. And so that has pros and cons. The con is it could be more apt to get bent or damaged. But the pro is it's actually a few pounds lighter if you're holding a 10-foot frame. The Helium, hence the name Helium, is going to be a lighter option. The other big difference between the Elements and the Helium system is on our Elements curve, and this is one of our Elements curves. If you note, the display has feet. And so this is an example of one of the feet here. We have just created this new design of foot, and this is a very light foot. It's much lighter than the version we used to have on the Elements. And it also allows us to create expandability with the display. So I can put in another support pole for an upright. I can put that in and I can build longer walls with different shapes. So I could connect this 10-foot curve to a 10-foot flat, to a 18-foot flat, and build a huge wall. So it gives you lots of modularity to expand from your base size to a greater size. Also, because it has feet, it allows us to have a simpler curve than the Helium. You can see it has a nice smooth curve, where the Helium has a little curve here on each side. So it curves out and then curves back in. It's a little bit different shape than the Elements. Sometimes people prefer the Helium shape, but a lot of times people like just a nice clean curve of the Elements. The other thing that the Helium frame requires you to do when you set it up, because it doesn't have feet, it uses its base as stability. The frame sometimes can get where it's not perfectly vertically straight, so you have to have a person on each end to kind of twist it to make sure that it's totally straight, where you're not going to have to do that with the Elements frame. Okay? So to kind of sum it up, price point is lower on the Helium. It's lighter weight, but it doesn't have the expandability that the Elements has, and it requires a little bit more of getting it straight on setup. And so that's the main differences. So hopefully you found that information helpful. I know you probably have a ton of other questions. Leave them in the comments or feel free to contact us and one of our account managers can help you out. Well, that's all I've got for today, but we'll see you guys again next time. Take care.